Hello and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga, match day 32, only 3 games left, and we are here to analyze everything in German football. We have a great game, Hoffenheim and Stuttgart for the Champions League spots, and we have Bayern Munich, Ronan, only thinking about the second leg in the Champions League. It's all about goals. We also mentioned in the game against Mainz, no matter which players you put here, you are going to be entertained. We are going to have goals, and I'm just looking forward to the second leg in Munich. And hello, Ronan, did you enjoy the game?
I did. I greatly enjoyed the game. What an entertaining 90 minutes of football. If only we could get that every year. I seen a comment from my Irish pal, journalist 𝐿𝐵𝐴 that they should cancel tonight's match of Arsenal and Atletico Madrid, replace it with PSG versus Bayern. Both second legs next week should also be PSG versus Bayern, and then make the final PSG versus Bayern. I think that's what we'd all want.
It was great indeed, especially, praise to the managers, of course, for leaving all this space and creativity to the players. But football is about offensive players, right? This is what we enjoy the most. And we saw a masterclass from Harry Kane, from Olise, from Luis Diaz, from Dembélé, from 𝗵𝗵𝗄, of course, even from 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗀. So we had fun, and now we are going to analyze the Bundesliga because this is also a very offensive league. So, guys, stay tuned. Listen to Ronan's tips. And now let's go on with the show. And we start with Bayern Munich, Heidenheim, the first against the last one. Even the odds are not that low for Bayern Munich. Here, 1.2. If you decide to handicap Bayern, maybe -2, the money should be all right. But all the Bayern fans are looking forward to the second leg. Ronan, we were talking about 𝐿𝐵𝐴, about the defenders. We can talk about tactics, but at the end, it was so simple. It was just throw the ball to the good ones, especially the wingers, but even Harry Kane was fantastic, and just play some magic. And this is what Vincent Kompany has brought to Bayern Munich, is so entertaining team. And even when they play for nothing, as we saw also last week in the Bundesliga against Mainz, it was a spectacular game from 3-0 to 3-4. They are just capable of everything. So here I would say again, maybe run and go for over 4.5 goals or something crazy.
That is what I'm looking at, because you saw Vincent Kompany after the match. He was asked about his approach to the game and whether they need to be more defensive or things like that next week. But he said no, they're going to be more attacking against PSG next week. So yeah, they're expecting more goals in the second leg, and expect plenty of goals in this match against Heidenheim, because, like I said, Heidenheim, the worst team in the Bundesliga. They are terrible. They have been terrible for long periods of the season. That is why they're going back down to the second tier. But it doesn't really matter who Bayern play, because they can tend to score goals. And like we saw against Mainz last week, that if they are failing to score late on, they will send on the big dogs and get the match done. So expect plenty of rotation in this match, because they will be looking fully at that PSG second leg. But doesn't really matter who Bayern Munich put out on the pitch. They tend to score goals. They have an plus 81 goal difference, 113 goals scored. And like we said on last week's show, that they needed 4 goals per game on average to break the record of the most goals of the season from 3-0 from back in the 1920s, I think I said it was. But yeah, this Bayern team, you wouldn't be surprised if they got some of those goals here, because in the next few weeks, because they have the easiest remaining fixtures in the Bundesliga. Average position of the opponents in the last 3 games is 16.33. So they're playing 2 of the teams that are in the relegation zone in the next few weeks. So they could get those 12 goals they need to equal it. And like I said, there will be rotation, so Harry Kane will likely not be starting. A man came on for a couple of minutes last night, did nothing because he wasn't on the pitch long enough. Nicholas Jackson, it worked last week, it should work again. Nicholas Jackson, anytime goal scorer in this match, go for that, because he's going to start. He needs to kind of prove his worth to clubs around Europe, not necessarily Bayern Munich, because it doesn't look like they're going to sign him permanently after this season. But winning the Bundesliga, maybe win the Champions League, getting more goals kind of on his CV should help him going into the summer to find a club or prove himself to the new Chelsea manager, perhaps. So yeah, Nicholas Jackson to score looks a good one here. Bayern Munich, they've won their last 3 meetings between the two sides. They've scored 4 goals each time. The last 2 were both 4-0. So I'm looking at a correct score of 4-0. I know there's going to be a lot of children playing in this match, but it's still Bayern Munich against Heidenheim. So Bayern Munich's teenagers should be still better than Heidenheim. 4-0 is 12. Bayern Munich's last 3 Bundesliga games were 5-0, 4-2, and 4-3. So total goals over 4, like you said, that's 201. Doesn't look like a bad option for this one, because Heidenheim, maybe they'll try and score some goals here to give themselves some sort of a chance. Maybe they might think this is their best chance to beat Bayern Munich. Bayern themselves over 3.5 goals is 250, but like you said at the start, Bayern Asian handicap -2 is probably what you're going for here at 182.
Well, good luck, Heidenheim, if they think they can win at the Allianz. 𝐿𝐴 is giving some names like Olise and Luis Diaz. Both were superb against PSG, but be careful because, of course, probably they won't start this game.
Yeah, you're probably looking at players like Rafael Guerreiro or Leon Goretzka,
Exactly.
maybe for assists market there.
Yeah. Goretzka looked like a player from other era when he came into the pitch against Parc des Princes. It's like you saw Ferraris all around you, and then you have Goretzka riding a horse or riding a donkey or something like this, completely different pace. But here it is, Goretzka still a survivor. Well, what a game, Bayern Munich alive in the Champions League second leg, which is very important for them after being 5-2 down. But on Monday, we will analyze the second leg. So let's move to other games. David saying that that's why Goretzka is wanted by Milan, because he has less pace, I would say, than Luka Modric, probably. Next game, Eintracht Frankfurt, Hamburg. Frankfurt trying to grab the 7th spot, although the results are not good. Drew with Augsburg, lost to Leipzig, and Hamburg ending the season really badly. 3 consecutive defeats, only 2 points in the last 6 games. They are still +5 with Pauli, not safe, but almost.
Yeah, I think they're running out of time for them to be dragged into that relegation battle. A win obviously would guarantee them safety, but it seems unlikely. Frankfurt, like you said, they're 12 points behind 6, so that's not happening. They can't come 6th. So 7th, after last week's results, we talked about in last week's show, was kind of before we saw the results of the cup games. 7th will guarantee the Conference League now, but they have the same points as Freiburg, so they need to hold on to that 7th spot, or need to maybe hope maybe the Champions League extra position is given to Germany to have a chance, or maybe one of the German teams can win the European competitions. But for them, 7th is their aim, to get 7th and guarantee themselves Europe at least next season. It was 1-1 in Hamburg earlier this season. I think Hamburg would be glad of that in this match, and they have scored in 5 of those last 6 games. Like you said, they haven't won in 6 games, but they have scored in 5 of those 6 games. So both teams have scored, yes, in Frankfurt's last 5 games as well. So this one does look like a match that we should see goals in. I like the look of a Frankfurt win at 174. I think that looks a good option, because they are fighting for something in Hamburg. Yeah, they're probably really not fighting for a lot at the moment, because they should be safe. So Frankfurt to win and both teams to score is 295.
Okay, home win and under 3.5 goals. 𝐿𝐴 going for something similar. Frankfurt to win is 1.7, so not bad. Now one of the games of the weekend is Hoffenheim Stuttgart for the Champions League spots. Both are level on points with 57. Maybe both can go to the Champions League next season, because, as you said, we don't know yet if 5 German teams will go to the Champions League. Well, but still, Hoffenheim back in the fight, because they were having really bad results, but they won the last 2 against Dortmund and Hamburg. And Stuttgart, remember, they are in the cup final, but drew with Werder Bremen when we expected them to win. But in the Bundesliga, is 4 points in the last 4 Bundesliga games. So somehow it's pretty level, this game, as we can see in the odds. Not the best moment in form for Stuttgart and Hoffenheim recovering.
Yeah, and Hoffenheim have better fixtures in the last 2 weeks after this one. This is obviously a crucial fixture both sides, but Hoffenheim play Bremen at home and then Gladbach away, whereas Stuttgart, before that cup final, like you mentioned, they have Leverkusen at home and Frankfurt away, so their matches are much trickier. So they kind of need to do something here to maybe put a bit of a gap between themselves and Hoffenheim, because they only have that 4-goal difference at the moment. That's not really going to count for much at the end of the season, depending on what kind of results happen. And Leverkusen are also breathing down their necks. They're only 2 points behind with the same goal difference as Stuttgart. So this is a huge game for Stuttgart. I think every game, maybe between now and the end of the season, is going to be a huge game for them, because, yeah, they finish up with that cup final against Bayern Munich. Hoffenheim have had back-to-back 2-1 wins. Before that was a 2-2 draw. Before that was a 2-1 loss. So both teams score, yes, it's happening a lot, with 3 or more goals in each game. The most common result in Sinsheim is a 2-2. But both teams to score, yes, when you have a look at that one in here, is only 138. So we probably need to look elsewhere for a bit of value. So total goals over 3.5 does seem like a good option, as Kaga is saying in the comments. Both teams score, and over 2.5 is what he's going for. Both teams to score, or total goals over 3.5 is 2. I like the look of goals in the first half, because I think this match is going to be kind of one of those matches where we see a lot of goals. And over 1.5 goals at half time has happened 55% of the time in Hoffenheim games this season, so more than 1 and 2. So, yeah, over 1.5 first half goals is 2.
Okay, many people going here for the both teams to score market. 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐲 telling us that both teams concede a lot. We can check here. Smart bet. And spoiler, is going for the completely opposite. Is going for both teams to score. No, as you can see there, the odds are massive, because we do expect goals in both ends. Okay, let's move on to the next game we have on Saturday. Is Union Berlin Cologne. Both are almost safe, not mathematically, but is almost there. I don't think they are going to have any trouble, but Union Berlin, they haven't improved with the new manager, at least in numbers. Ronan, of course, there is a lot of media around ETA, but it's 2 games, 2 defeats, and now it's only 1 point in the last 5 games for Union Berlin. Cologne also lost to Leverkusen, the derby, and before drew with Pauli. Still, the bookies trust Union Berlin to get the win, the first win with the new manager.
Well, hopefully they do, because there's a reason they have the new manager, is because they were doing poorly before that. So exactly. That's why she has the job. So, and I think she was unlucky in the first game, and then the second game obviously was a team that are much better than Union Berlin. This probably will tell us a bit more about maybe her credentials as a manager and whether she's cut out for it. So hopefully they do get something here. And these 2 teams, I think apart from that narrative about the female coach, I think they won't be happy enough with a point here. It should be enough for both of them. A draw for Cologne definitely should be enough, because there's only 2 matches left after this one, and they have a goal difference of -8, whereas St. Pauli are -27. So, yeah, a point should be enough for them, and they should be happy enough. If you look at the Asian handicap line in this one, these 2 teams don't tend to cover it. Or only 38% for Union and 39% for Cologne. So the Asian handicap line in this one is 0.5 versus 0.25. So yeah, draw is what it looks like here at 355. You have to go for that one. 𝐿𝐴𝐲 in the comments is saying 0-0 or whatnot. All that kind of ties into a draw as well. Total goals 2.5 is also very even from the bookies in this one, 196 and 198. So it looks like this could be over or under. Take your pick, really, because these are 2 teams with 0 to play for, it seems. There's only been 12 nil-alls in the Bundesliga so far this season. It's the fewest in the top 5 leagues, as it always is. Correct score, 0-0 at 13. Who wouldn't be happy with a 0-0? We'd get a 13.
Supporters.
Well, maybe Arsenal supporters. I've seen plenty of them commenting on the PSG Bayern match having too much goals and too much attacking, and saying that it's terrible football. So maybe they'll be happy with a 0-0 against Atletico Madrid tonight. So we could get a 0-0 in Union and Cologne at the weekend. And similar to that, both teams to score no is 220. That's probably a bit safer.
Well, there are people that prefer broccoli over lobster or something like this. So I guess also there are people that prefer a goalless draw between Union Berlin and Cologne rather than seeing 5-4 PSG and Bayern. Next one could be exactly the same. Nothing on stake here. Werder Bremen, Augsburg, both ending the season pretty decently. Actually, Augsburg drew with Frankfurt and beat Leverkusen, for instance, in the last two games. And also Bremen were able to draw with Stuttgart. So here also, if you want value, the draw pays really well for this game.
Yeah, I think we could be in the kind of draw scenario for a lot of these teams because there's nothing to play for. Bremen, they're 6 points clear. But like I said in the previous one, yeah, it should be fine because these teams are, some of these teams are playing each other. Some of these teams are playing Bayern Munich. So yeah, it should be fine, the points they have at the moment. Augsburg are 9th. They're 6 points behind 7th or 8th, depending on where the extra spot goes to. So they'd really need to win out to maybe have a chance of getting into Europe, I think. But are they that confident? Would other results go their way? Probably not. So there's probably not a lot to play in this one. And both teams drew 1-1 last weekend, like you said. Bremen have had both teams to score yes in their last 4 games. Augsburg, both teams score yes in their last 5 games. A draw is 4, like you said. Could be a 1-1 draw. Could be a 0-0 draw. Could be another terrible game. Do not tune into this one either. But Smart Bet is going for 5 stars for an Augsburg double chance. And I like that because they're 4 games without a defeat. So, yeah, they probably should get something from this game. For the Bremen are just above the relegation zone. Augsburg are theoretically in with a chance of getting Europe. So, yeah, double chance seems like a wise way to go. The AI seems to be on the money on this one.
Yes, these 2 games go for the money, go for the draw or surprise. And the best game is Leverkusen. RB Leipzig for the Champions League spots could be mathematically for Leipzig if they win. Here, Leverkusen, they are only -2 from Hoffenheim and Stuttgart, so they must win. They beat Cologne, Leverkusen after losing to Bayern in the Pokal semi-finals, and Leipzig are really, really in form. It's 5 wins in a row, 7 out of 8, but the bookies put Leverkusen as big favorites, even really high odds if you are back in Leipzig here.
Yeah, that is what I'm going to do because I think, a win guarantees them the Champions League and that's what they need to do and that's what they should do. I know Leverkusen will know before this match what has happened with Stuttgart against Hoffenheim, and maybe if there was a draw there, a win would take them on both of them. But I think Leipzig are in just such great form. The last 16 meetings don't tell us too much between the two sides, 6 wins each. If you remember, Xabi Alonso was in charge for a lot of those meetings, and he is no longer in charge. This is not the same Leverkusen team that kind of steamrolled the Bundesliga and Europe for a while there. So, yeah, Leipzig, they won 3-2 the last time they played in Leverkusen. It was also an away win in Leipzig in December, so away wins tend to happen a bit in this one. Yeah, Leverkusen, their last 2 games were a 2-1 defeat and a 2-1 win. Leipzig's last 3 games were 3-1 wins. So you're looking for goals in this one. You're hoping for goals. You're hoping this is going to be an entertaining match after a couple of kind of snooze fests in the afternoon kickoffs. Yeah, Leipzig are a team that I really fancy to do something here. I fancy lots of goals in this one. So over 3.5 goals is 198. And then I've gone for loads of different Leipzig options. So hopefully, if you're confident like me that Leipzig can do something, these could be worth looking at. Leipzig to win, straightforward enough at 320. RB Leipzig double chance is 178. And then if you look at these teams when they score, we're expecting a big scoreline in this one. Scoring both halves happens 42% of the time for Leverkusen, 37% of the time for Leipzig, but conceding both halves, Leverkusen are nearly double Leipzig at 21% to 11%. So RB Leipzig to score in both halves, I like to look up at 3.
Massive game, this one. Let's check our AI, our smart bet tool, going for an under. Actually, the completely opposite tip that you gave. Under 3.5 goals, 1.9, then corners. And then the last tip is double chance draw or Leipzig. There you agree. see, also David going for same thing. X2, double chance for RB Leipzig or 𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴 2-1 either way. Great game this one. Leverkusen could lose all the chances to go to the Champions League in this game. For Sunday, we have Pauli, Mainz. This is a crucial game for the home side. Only 1 point ahead of Wolfsburg, 5 points away from Hamburg, so they have to win. They have to win to not be relegated to the Bundesliga 2. Mainz could be a good rival since they are on holidays after the defeat in the conference, but they showed also last weekend, even if they were on holidays, how they could be dangerous against the mighty Bayern Munich.
Yeah, but it's easy to get motivated when you're playing Bayern Munich at home. It mightn't be that easy to be motivated with 3 weeks left in the season. Playing Pauli away in Hamburg and absolutely nothing to play for because Mainz are comfortably 10th in the table. That's probably not going to change between now and the end of the season. Pauli have so much on the line, but they need 5 points to reach 15th and to get out of the relegation zone altogether. But they can stay ahead of Wolfsburg and get into that playoff. So that's kind of what they're playing for here. Most numbers look here as a 1-1, but Pauli are on such a bad run at the moment. 7 games without a win for Pauli. Mainz, 4 games in all competitions. They're without, so this is a game where both teams to lose could be an option, perhaps, because there's not really for Mainz to play for. They're kind of on their holidays, and Pauli, they're not good enough. So smart bet, 5 stars here. I had a look at the AI because sometimes I know we disagree with the AI sometimes, but it's looking for the value in the bets rather than necessarily what is definitely going to happen. So it sees value in Mainz to win the first half at 3.25, which I think could be a good option because Mainz are a better team than Pauli. They've showed it, especially in the second half of the season. And also, smart bet is going for, this is one where I disagree, it's going for under 10.5 corners. Well, it could be exactly 10. So we came in last week, I went for the corner market. I don't usually go for it. Worked a treat last week in Pauli match, so we'll go for the same again. Over 9.5 corners is 191. That's the opposite to what smart bet is saying, although it's saying under 10.5, so maybe it's a 10. We'll both be right.
Okay, we can see right now what smart bet is saying. 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴 going for double chance X1, the team that has more things on stake in this game. Pauli, Mainz. Next one is Gladbach, Dortmund. Also here, nothing on stake. Gladbach mid-table, 32 points. Still not safe mathematically, but almost. And Dortmund going to the Champions League. They got themselves a big win against Freiburg, 4-0. Gladbach is 4 draws and 1 defeat in the last 5 games.
Yeah, Dortmund don't really have anything to play for, but they haven't stopped playing, unlike some of the other teams maybe. They haven't taken their eye off the ball, and we saw that last week, whereas Borussia Monchengladbach, 6 points clear of relegation. I think they'll be safe enough. I don't think there's kind of enough different things that could happen for them to be dragging that down that far. I think it's probably impossible for them to, with teams playing each other in the coming weeks, that it could happen that they would all get enough points to move above Borussia Monchengladbach. And they are on a bad run, 5 games without a win, but 4 of those were draws. Dortmund, on the other hand, they haven't drawn any of their last 8 games, which is a surprise. They've won 5 of those games that period. So Dortmund to win this one, 196. They are a better team. They have not given up. They have not retired for the season. So Gladbach are not scoring a lot of goals. They've failed to score in 2 of their last 3 matches. So Dortmund to win to 0 sometimes is a good option. It was a great option last week, 4-10. And then a Dortmund clean sheet is 3-40.
First half draw possible here. 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴 going for Dortmund to win and over 1.5 goals. And the last game is Freiburg, Wolfsburg. Freiburg still with options to finish 7th. Of course, they are level on points with Frankfurt, but their goal is the Europa League. They are in the Europa League semi-final. So let's see how they play against Wolfsburg, playing for their lives. They beat Union Berlin in the last away game They do with Gladbach last weekend. So they have to get something from the Black Forest if they want to stay in the Bundesliga, Ronan.
Yeah, this is kind of a tricky one to predict, I think, because we probably have to see how things go with Wolfsburg's game against Braga in the Europa League on Thursday, because that is probably their best route back into Europe next season, to win the Europa League and get into the Champions League rather than to finish in the league. I know they're in touching distance of a Conference League spot, so with level with Frankfurt on points, but they're 6 goals worse off, and I don't think they're going to make that up because they will be focused on the Europa League. So I think this is a one that could be the perfect match for Wolfsburg, if anything, at the moment, because Freiburg will be focused on something else, and yeah, they haven't had a good run of it at the moment. They lost in the cup; they were knocked out of the cup by Stuttgart. Then they lost 4-0 to Dortmund, so they're fully focused on the Europa League. Freiburg play Hamburg and Leipzig after this. So the next week's the final match could be a difficult one again for them, depending on what Leipzig need to do by then. And Wolfsburg, this is where they're probably looking at picking up those points that they need, because they play Bayern Munich next week. Play St. Pauli in the last game, but things could be decided before then. So this is probably the biggest Wolfsburg match in years, since they were competing for the Bundesliga title. So maybe in nearly 18 years. So yeah, it's irrelevant for Freiburg perhaps. So it's hard to go for the 1x2 here. Smart bet 5 stars is going for a Freiburg win at 2.48. A Wolfsburg win, as you see on the screen, is 3, but maybe I'll just go with the AI here and go for the other option that the AI is giving. 5 stars for Freiburg to score first, 185. But yeah, steering clear of this match in general, because who knows what's going to happen, and who knows how much effort or care Freiburg will give to it. And even if they do give only a tiny bit of care, they still could do something against Wolfsburg.
Tricky game. This one, it's a year where Tottenham, Sevilla might go down in the Premier League and La Liga, and also Wolfsburg is a team that we saw in the Champions League not long time ago, so they are also risking going to the Bundesliga too. We have some people here going for X2. Another comment saying this game screams draw. Well, this is it.
I didn't know that was Tom Rennie's username.
Yeah, looks like, it's in Cyrillic, that's for sure. Rennie, tomorrow we have our Premier League show. Ronan, we finish our video. So guys, remember we have our tipster competitions going on. The monthly one is finishing with a Ukrainian guy now on top. I don't know how many times Ukrainian people win this competition, then Italy, and then Spain, number 3. So some people getting money in April. And also check out Rivals and create your own tipster league. Okie dokie, Ronan, your safe bet?
I was trying to be clever last week and not safe enough, so we'll go properly safe this week. My safe bet this week is Bayern Munich to win.
Of course. And ACCA?
My ACCA is Frankfurt to win and Dortmund to win for a total of 341. There it is.
There it is. Yeah, was there for a glimpse. Okay, Ronan, see you next week. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.